Hello, hello, hello. It's Chase here. Thanks for checking out this live stream with me. Yes, this is me responding to the trolls. Hey, folks who are coming in. No, it's not the Trolls movie. Maybe I'll review that at a future time. I'm setting up a Patreon, so maybe I'll do some riff tracks. And if you guys want, I'll do the Trolls. Hello, hello, hello. I don't know what the music is. It's just something that StreamYard provides. But hey, I do think it's pretty cool too. Thank you, though. Well, what's up, y'all? So, what trolls are we addressing? Well, like I said, it's not the Trolls movie that we're addressing. But if you're watching this live stream, go ahead and share it out. Share it out on whatever platform you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or X. Make sure folks are watching so we can get plenty of comments in here, plenty of folks having a great conversation. But yes, I am going to be addressing the trolls. Serious beardage going on. Thank you. It's getting longer. It's the longest it's been in 3 years because I spent 3 years running for office. And up until JD Vance got elected, the going thing is you could not be elected to national office if you had a beard. He's the first one with a beard in a long time. Hate that he's the guy carrying the beard game, especially since his is so patchy. Would I run again in the future? Thank you, Jojo. I answer this question almost every time I do a live stream. If the Libertarian Party is in a position to properly support its candidate for president and vice president, I would think about running again. So my goal right now is to improve the party, improve its leadership, improve its messaging, so that way, we can get some campaigns really rolling with, firing on all cylinders and really doing a good job. Will I run in 2040? I would still be younger than Joe Biden, Donald Trump, and a lot of other people who've been president if I run in 2040. I got plenty of time. In fact, if I run 20 years from now in 2044, I'll still be younger than Kamala Harris was this past time around. So even if I run in 2040, I'm younger than the major party candidates were in this past election by a long shot. So voted Chase from Texas. Thank you, Isaac. Shout out from Texas. Dave Smith is going to get so triggered over my wall art. Oh, you mean this wall art, the Rainbow Gadsden flag? Well, don't tread on me. Don't tread on anybody, regardless of their gender or sexual orientation. We believe in free expression and free people in this household. I'm addressing the politically motivated attacks against me. That'll be some of the things. That's outrageous. Oh, my goodness. Yes, a rainbow flag. It's totally outrageous and smart. Okay, well, that's enough of me reading some comments right now. Let's throw up a few of these accusations, right? Like, I'm going to say these are accusations that I hear all the time on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever. This is the things I get all the time, and I figure I just could address them all in one nice live stream. So if you guys want to help out, you can cut this stuff up, and then anytime trolls come a trolling, you can just respond with clips of this video, so I don't have to do it. So this is just me doing all of the work ahead of time. You do with this what you will. But we're going to get into these. When we'll get into, I have 6 here that we're going to take care of. Some of them are more internal Libertarian Party stuff. Some of them more just broad stuff that I see online. So let's just go with number 1. Accusation number 1. You're just a Democrat. You're not really a libertarian. You're just a Democrat. Well, not true. I was a Democrat many years ago. I was a Democrat way back when. Am I lagging? I apologize. Let's see. Is anybody else want to comment? Am I lagging? Someone said I am. It's just I'm in the middle of a really bad thunderstorm, so it might be what's going on. Anybody else see me lagging? I don't see anybody else commenting on that, so I guess I'm doing okay. Let me pull that back up. So, am I a Democrat? No, I was a Democrat. Oh, I am lagging as well. Well, maybe I pop out of the stream for just a moment and try to fix this. Be right back. Boop. Be right back, you guys. All right. Can you guys hear me now? And am I lagging? Please just let me know. Da 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 da. There we go. Want to watch the Trolls movie while I wait. Feel free. Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all see me now? And if you can hear me, that's fine. I'll just keep going with the audio. But yeah, back to this. Number one, accusation. Am I a Democrat? I am not a Democrat. I was one many years ago. I was actually pushed out of the Democratic Party because Barack Obama, he ran in 2008 on a platform that I thought as an anti-war activist, which is what I really was within the Democratic Party. I've always liked guns. I've always not liked taxes. I've always thought government did too many things, but I was very anti-war. And in the Bush years, I thought, hey, maybe I should become a Democrat because George Bush is the warmonger in chief and the Democrats the ones who will defeat him in an election. But because of that, we got Barack Obama, and he ran on this platform of we're going to talk to our enemies, we're going to engage in real foreign policy, we're going to end the wars, we're going to close Gitmo. But he didn't do those things. And because of that, I kind of got disgusted with the Democratic Party after 2008. And so I was pushed out because I didn't feel like I had a place. And I certainly wasn't going to become a Republican because Republicans at that time were actively campaigning to end gay marriage or to not even approve of gay marriage at that point. They wanted to put a constitutional amendment to ban it. They supported Don't Ask, Don't Tell, or even outright bans on gays in the military. So I was not going to find a place in the Republican Party. But lo and behold, I found a party that supports my right to be who I am, my right to be free, my right to question and be a skeptic of government power, my right to defend myself, my right to own my own property, my own business, and run it as I see fit, as long as I'm doing it in peace. And that's the Libertarian Party. And so I'm glad they were there because the Democrats dropped the ball on somebody who they, ostensibly was voting for them. I voted for them in my first 2 elections, but then I haven't done that since. So me, anti-war to the core. Anti-war to the core. Quick question. Do I think Ron Paul is going to make any more political moves? Doubt it, dude. He's in his 90s. He is enjoying his life. He has kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. I think he's going to be enjoying being in his 90s. I don't think he's going to run for office or anything, if that's what you're asking. Anti-war to the core, indeed. That is my mantra. That's what I go with. So no, I'm not a Democrat. Plenty of people were former Democrats or former Republicans who have become libertarians. Plenty of former libertarians become one or the other. I'm solidly libertarian. I'm a lifetime member of the party. I will keep being a member of the party, even if that chaps some people's asses out there. Sorry about it, but I'm going to stay a libertarian. But let's roll right into accusation number 2. You did terrible as the libertarian candidate. Oh, you did so terrible. You did terrible because you got less votes than Joe Jorgensen and Gary Johnson. Well, let's just be real here. I did about average for libertarian candidates for president. 0.4 to 0.6% is about the average for libertarian candidates for president. Unfortunately, I mean, I wish they would win every election. In fact, shout out to the Libertarian Party of Arkansas for highlighting each of our presidential candidates for the last few days in social media with some great quotes and some little information about those folks. We've had some awesome presidential candidates, but I wish they would all win. But right now, if you look at about the average, it's about 0.5%, which is about where I am in terms of the vote total. I got under 1 million votes. That's pretty regular for a libertarian candidate for president. And the last 2 that did really well, Gary Johnson and Joe Jorgensen, by the way, are ones that these trolls who troll me, they absolutely could not stand Gary Johnson or Joe Jorgensen. They shit all over them too. But those are the most successful candidates we've had. And so the truth is my trolls, these people who come after me, both within or outside of the party, oh, you did terrible or whatever. A, they haven't had a candidate do any better that they've supported in the Libertarian Party. B, these people don't know what it means to be a candidate and do all that work. And so, no, I'm proud of the work that my campaign did. I think we did pretty well, considering I actually had to do the one unique thing that no libertarian candidate has had to do, which is combat leadership in my own party who was violating fiduciary duty to endorse my opponents, to sell out to the Republican Party, to fundraise for RFK Jr. as opposed to fundraising for the Libertarian campaign. And it fractured the Libertarian Party in a way that, as much as I would like to have been a unifying candidate, which was made impossible because of embezzling former chairs who decided to violate their duty to the party. Instead of doing what they should have done, they didn't want to support me. They had the ethical option to resign, but they lacked those ethics. So instead, they decided to violate their duty to the party. I can't help that. I'm sure I would have done better had they not been doing that. But, we'll never know right now, which is why I won't be running again until we can improve this. Previous job before running for president, I've had many. Spent years in the restaurant industry. Literally, my first job was being a dishwasher, but moved all the way up through being general managers at restaurants and doing a lot in that industry and catering, large events. And then I moved into the world of shipping, where I worked for a multinational shipping company, helped facilitate imports for one of the world's largest container shipping companies, maritime shippers. And then I moved into HR work and ad sales work. And then now I work in the medical industry, which is very cool. Helping to provide people compounded medications at a fraction of what big pharma costs. So I really like the jobs I've had and the jobs I have right now. Really, really cool folks that I work around. But yeah, so accusation number 2, I didn't do a good job as the Libertarian candidate. Did about as good as anybody else. I mean, you can go from Hospers to Ron Paul to Harry Brown to me, and it's about the average. If you really want to look at that. So, but let's roll right into accusation number 3 that I hear from. I actually have an accusation number 7 that I'm going to throw in here. So I thought I was only going to do, 6, but let me just add this to the list. All right. Let's see. But accusation number 3, that's what we're on. There we are. Number 3. I only campaigned about trans stuff. You only campaigned about trans stuff, Chase. That's all you talked about was trans stuff. You believe that if you looked at the amount of people who talk about it under everything that I talk about online. I could be talking about the weather and people be like, but you want to you're only campaigning on trans stuff. You're just a woke trans. And that's not true. It's completely ridiculous. If you look at my website and you look at like my issues that I most campaigned on, if you look at every speech I've ever given as a candidate for president, while I support the right of anybody to own their gender expression, express themselves as they want. I'm LGBTQ. Obviously, it's Pride Month. I got a rainbow flag behind me. There's no hiding the fact that I support people's right to express their gender as they see it. That's not really what I campaigned on. It was not the cornerstone of my campaign. The cornerstone of my campaign was about opposing war, opposing spending, opposing the immigration Gestapo state, and holding law enforcement and the justice system accountable. Those were like the big 4 things that I really, really campaigned on. It was a great campaign. Thank you, Joel. That was great. This is a laughable lie. That is true. Totally a laughable lie. The people calling you a Democrat obviously have no idea what being a libertarian means. Exactly. Like, how many Democrats support completely unrestricted gun laws? How many Democrats think that taxation is theft? How many Democrats want to completely decentralize education away from the state altogether as much as possible? Like, how many Democrats really support those things? Let's be real. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a libertarian. I think that our ideas are better than Democrats, and we need to spread them. Do you think the Libertarian Party is going to get more recognition after Trump's presidency ends? If we do the right thing and we are ethical and transparent in our leadership and putting out really good messaging, yes. People focused on the trans a ton apart because they needed trash on Chase. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. It was just people who had to find an excuse for why I wasn't libertarian in their eyes. And so they had to make it about the culture war, even though I literally made culture war ceasefire actually a part of my campaign. I said, I'm so much against the culture war, just like I'm against all wars, that I think we need to get government out of trying to fight it one way or the other and just let people live, and culture can do its own thing without government steering the boat. That's kind of how I was. We'll roll right in accusation number 4. You just want to trans the kids. That was the other thing they all say. And you can see it under Again, any X post I put or any Facebook post or anything that literally there's some right-wing troll or some bot or whatever that comes up and you want to trans the kids. I don't actually. I was pretty clear in about 1 million debates leading up to the nomination that I believe that adults should be able to, choose any kind of surgery they want to have. And this is not just related to trans people. This is anybody. I think if you want a nose job, you should have to wait till you're 18, or a boob job, or feminization surgery on your face, or any of that stuff. I really think you should wait till you're an adult, because whether you're gay or straight, cis or trans, boy or girl, you should be waiting to have surgery until you're 18, because that's a very permanent body modification. But with regards to any other kind of gender affirming care for young people, I believe that should be age appropriate and decided by a doctor and parents, not by the government. That's libertarianism. I'm sorry, that's libertarian. That's libertarian. Like, you can't get that's pretty plumb line libertarian medical freedom. Things should be, being decided when you're under 18. Most medical decisions have to be done in consultation with parents and a doctor. Like, that's just kind of the basics of parenting. I wish there were more parents who were, loving and respectful and would listen to their kids. And yes, I do. I also think that, I always get thrown out with there's people who Munchausen by proxy, trans by proxy, that kind of stuff. I'm sure that exists in the world, but it's very, very rare, just like Munchausen by proxy is compared to parents who care for their sick children, right? Yes, Munchausen by proxy exists. It does. It's a medical condition. Talk to Eminem. He was somebody who had a mother that was basically poisoning him because they wanted to keep him sick, right? So that's a real thing, but it's very rare in the world. And most parents just unconditionally love their kids and want to do what's best for them, and are going to do their research and talk to medical professionals and do their best to be their best advocates for kids. And we should be really relying on what most people do and not using the exceptions to rules to create rules that violate what peaceful and loving people do. It would be the same as if we approached every person with a firearm as if they're going to be some sort of murderer, right? So there's that. So no, I'm not related to Jeff. Someone asked if I'm related to Jeff Oliver. I am not. Let's see. So there's that. So no, again, it wasn't a centerpiece of my campaign. No, I'm not trying to socially engineer the world. I think that we can just let parents be parents, let kids be kids, and keep the government out of people's lives. Like, that's kind of basic libertarianism. But let's roll right into this one. Accusation number 5. You helped Trump win. You helped Kamala lose. It's all your fault, Chase. It's all your fault that Trump won or that Kamala lost. It's all your fault, Chase. Or hey man, thanks to you. You were so terrible that you helped Trump win. That's what literally some people say. You were so bad that Trump won. Good on you. Some unprincipled hacks who used to be chair of the party like to say that it was their grand plan to have me run so that I could not take votes away from Trump, even though they did everything they could to prevent me from having a platform and winning the party's nomination. So, but yeah, let's be real. The reason why Trump won and why Kamala lost is because Joe Biden stayed in the race too long. He should have dropped out and never run. There should have been an open primary for the Democrats, and they wouldn't have had to settle with a damaged, terrible VP like Kamala Harris, and they likely would have been able to possibly beat Trump. But they got saddled because the old man, who every Democrat tried to cover up the fact that he was old and feeble, stayed in too long until he had that debate that was god-awful. And then he couldn't do anything about it but drop out. And then at that point, it was too late. They were saddled with Kamala. So Kamala Harris lost on her own. Trump won, not because he's a better candidate, but because the entire electorate was deflated. Like, there were less people voting, than in past elections. So it wasn't like he had an overwhelming, by the way, still under 50% of the vote. Donald Trump didn't have a mandate for victory. He just won the Electoral College. So if you look at popular vote, it's not like he has this super strong landslide runaway mandate. It's just about as divided as it ever was. But Kamala Harris was a terrible candidate. Would I have loved to have beaten the spread in a whole bunch of states? Yeah, but unfortunately, for a variety of factors, mostly due to the fact that our party was very mismanaged in the 2 years leading up to the election by leadership who completely dumped on donors, abandoned any principal messaging that was bringing new people into the party, and basically, was we were having to salvage what was left of a very leaky boat, thanks to the leadership of Angela McArdle, to really even have a campaign altogether. And so, sure, we would have loved to have beaten the spread like Joe Jorgensen and Gary Johnson and the other presidential candidates that people like Angela McArdle decried and said were terrible wastes of space. And, she didn't like either one of them. She leads the caucus now that hated on Gary Johnson and hated on Joe Jorgensen more than anything, even though they were the most successful presidential candidates we've ever had. So for me, what are you going to do? It wasn't my fault. I would have loved to have gotten 1 million votes. I would love to have gotten millions of votes to the Libertarian Party. I would have loved to have helped lead a lot of other folks to victory down the ticket. But unfortunately, due to things out of my control, I didn't get to really run the campaign I would have liked to, which is why when folks say, are you going to run again? I say, not unless we have better leadership in the party and the party's in a better position to support a candidate for president. So there is that. So let's see. Accusation number 6. This is another internal party one. You and Mike cheated to get the presidential nomination. Ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. Just on face value, you can watch the live stream. You can see how the votes went down. We followed the process to a T. Ask the parliamentarian, ask the party leadership. Me and Mike won because I got over 50% of the vote. And yes, it was because after Mike dropped out as a candidate for president, he did endorse me. And that drove enough of his delegates over for me to win. And so that's just effing ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. I won't even drop the pretense of not cursing. It's fucking ridiculous. But that's true. So, I was able to convince several friends to come join me and vote for Chase. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Get them to join your party and go to your next state convention, because that's what we need. We need to keep electing good leadership to the party to help it grow. Because right now, we've been in kind of a coasting pattern, not really seeing growth. But for the last 2 years, from 22 to 24, we had a major dip in membership, donors, positive press, elected libertarians. And again, it starts at the top. That's who was leading the party for those 2 years. You can just look up for the record who that was. Let me just go ahead and pop that off. Let's go back to this one. So yeah, me and Mike cheated. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We followed the process. We won the election. There you go. Sorry to the haters. Hey, I would have sent more your way. Well, we're still trying to retire campaign debt. You like my Rush shirt. You said you would have donated more. We're still trying to get rid of the last little bit of campaign debt. So if you want to, hey, I'm going to put it up here. If you want to go to votechaseoliver.com/donate, you can donate and help us retire the last little bit of campaign debt. And please do. If you like the Rush shirt, you just said you would. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for being a good voice, Bobby. Thank you very much. Very supportive. Yeah, I'm sorry. People think that we should abolish third parties. That's ridiculous. Your voice is your vote, and people shouldn't want you to shut up to make their voice louder. That's ridiculous. You should disrespect people who say you shouldn't have third parties. You should have as many parties as you want. Don't blame me. I'm 15. I will vote. Hey, but you might be able to vote Libertarian in the future. Join your local Libertarian Party. Get active. So here's the last one. This is a big one. This is a big one, and this is this is one that I know this is going to cause a lot of heat. That's why I just realized I couldn't believe I forgot this one. But this is the one all the trolls say. They say, you supported the lockdowns and mandates, Chase. You supported the COVID state. You supported the lockdowns. See it, trolls saying this so much. Also fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I've never supported state lockdowns or mandates of anything. I think it's counterproductive, and it's stupid, and it's tyranny. So no, I don't support those things. So the idea that I support lockdowns or mandates is patently false. It's ridiculous. It is a smear tactic made by the Republicans to try to get people from voting libertarian. And it's ironic because Donald Trump is the very tyrant that started the COVID state to begin with. So, yeah, it's so hypocritical and ridiculous that the guy who started the lockdowns, the guy who praised Anthony Fauci, gave him a medal right before he left office in 2020, started Operation Warp Speed, pushed the vaccine, said it was the greatest thing for all of mankind, and yet his followers said, Chase supported all of the things that Donald Trump supported, so we got to vote for Donald Trump. Not only did I not support those things, but that logic is fucking ridiculous. It just is. And so it's just not true. But that's the way the big parties work. Is because they want to tell a lie enough times to make it true. And that's where we're at. And so, no, I've never supported lockdowns. I've never supported mandate. But a lot of so-called people, or a lot of people who were so-called opponents of lockdowns and mandates, were just fine not voting for me over some screenshotted out of context tweets, but they were just fine voting for Donald Trump, who initiated the COVID state to begin with. Make it make sense. It doesn't, which is why they were never interested in really supporting the Libertarian Party to begin with. They just weren't. They were just angry people who couldn't be angry at Democrats enough or Republicans enough, so they had to become libertarians to be angry at them both. And I don't know. I can't make it make sense, the fact that I opposed both lockdowns and mandates. I helped plan rallies for Jo Jorgensen in 2020 when she was running that were illegally spaced in Atlanta, outdoors, ridiculous. But I helped plan those things. We had near 300 people in a back patio that would have been spaced for like 30 if we had followed the guidelines of the city of Atlanta. So yeah, for me, I think it's ridiculous. But that's the nature of two-party politics. The duopoly is ridiculous. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they will do everything they can to convince you that you don't have any choices beyond them, that you need to be submissive to their control, and that there's no leadership or there's nobody who can lead beyond them who are already so corrupted by the two-party system. That's just a lie. And I don't think you're going to change either party from within. I encourage you to leave the two-party system. To join the Libertarian Party, I think that's the best party to join. But even if you don't join the Libertarians, join some party outside of the two-party system. Some of us still remember the truth, Chase. Thank you, Bobby. Some of you still remember the truth. When I get back to politics, will I run for governor? Well, we got to get ballot access in the state of Georgia first. I encourage you to go to lpgeorgia.com, join and donate to the Libertarian Party of Georgia, earmark it for ballot access so that we can get statewide ballot access again. I am, going to be enjoying the rest of Pride Month. Juneteenth is coming up. I think we should celebrate Juneteenth. It is the celebration of the end of chattel slavery in this country. Get out and meet members of your community, especially if you're not Black. Get out and celebrate Juneteenth. It is worth celebrating the end of slavery in this country. To those who call it a made-up government holiday, you're full of shit. It was over 100 years that this was a holiday before the government formally recognized it. So this was a spontaneous holiday created outside of government. So go ahead and celebrate Juneteenth next week and celebrate Stonewall. In a couple weeks, I'll be doing a live stream with the LP Alliance, I believe, on the 28th. So look out for that. It'll be great fun. And don't forget about the Trolls movie. Do not. If you want to watch some fun trolls instead of the ones you normally see on X, I guess watch the Trolls movie. Especially, I guess, if you got the kids and they need to watch film, watch Trolls, I guess. I don't know. I've not seen it. I don't know. It could be a terrible film. I have no idea. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream a little earlier than I thought. I thought I was going to be able to go a whole hour here, but I'm just deciding to go 30 minutes. It's raining outside. We've been having a little lag. But check me out on future streams. I'm not going to stop streaming. I'm going to keep streaming regularly. In fact, look out to see a Patreon getting started so that way I can launch some podcasts so you can see more. Not all of them are libertarian in nature. Some of them are pop culture in nature. In fact, my favorite project is a Star Trek project I've been working on that should be coming out soon, so keep a keen eye open for that. But in the meantime, have a life of peace, love, and liberty to you, to all you know, to all you don't know. We should all want to live a life of peace, love, and liberty, and I'll keep fighting for that for myself and for everyone else. You keep doing that too. Have a good night.